To begin Immersive Learning March Madness, I'd like to dig in a bit deeper on the tools that are available to build and share immersive learning spaces. There are dozens of companies in this space, and I've demoed many of them. Several are clearly focused on the industrial enterprise space and don't really focus on education. In my research, I focused on 4 apps that should be considered by an educator looking to develop immersive learning. I made a full video about this, which you can view here on my channel. The tool I believe rises to the top is FrameVR. This is not a sponsored post. This is simply the result of trying to find the right tool to support an educator looking to move from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0. I will focus this video on some of the features that I believe distinguish Frame from the competitors, as well as foreshadow some of the videos I'll be doing later this month. One of the first reasons why I believe Frame should be considered by educators is the ease of access and the ease of use. It persists on the web, so when you go to framevr.io and you scroll down here and look for how to get started, 2 very simple steps. You sign up and you create a frame. You can sign up for free and you can create 3 different frames, or essentially 3 different immersive learning spaces that can hold as many as 8 people synchronously. We'll get into some pricing and some other ideas around that later. However, you can see how easy it is to click and sign up with a Google account, Microsoft, or simply your own personal email and password. So I've switched over and you can see here, this is one of my spaces and these are the frames that I have. And each one persists and each one has its own unique URL. So when I want to go into a particular space, I simply click here, it loads, I connect, and I'm in my immersive learning space. No software to download, nothing special to do other than to log in. Recently, Frame updated their classroom management tools, allowing a teacher to have much better control over the students that they have in their frame. But when I go up to the left-hand corner and click on Global Actions, you can see that I have popular tools such as Mute Others, Gather to Me. So if the avatars were scattered all about the frame, then I could click that button and that would move them all towards me. I could also freeze them so that they would stop moving and they would be able to listen to me and my instructions. And then when I click down here on the actual user, I get more specific tools to control this user, such as bring that user to me, seat them, pass the mic, and unfortunately, if you need to, you can boot them out as well. So I see these as a huge bonus for having students in frame and being able to control their behavior as well as manage their actions within the frame. The next feature I'd like to talk about is the use of spatial audio here on the web. So this is a 3D experience that I created around oral histories of World War I soldiers, and you'll notice that there is, as I move forward, there are 2 statues in the way, the path here. And as I approach one of them, when I get close enough, there is a proximity tag on the audio that once it senses that my avatar is close enough, then the audio will begin.
Malaria was widespread and caused more casualties than the fighting. There was little that could be done to prevent men contracting it, as British NCO Edward Bull explained.
We used to have covers,
So as you can see there that the audio does not need to be turned on or stopped. It's going to happen when the user gets close enough to the item. Here's another example built by the folks that put together the Edu Metaverse. They created this excellent gallery on bees, and notice that as I approach this bee, then the audio gets stronger or weaker depending on how close I am to the item. So that gives us excellent sense and can also really add to the immersive feeling that you have of being in this gallery. Another tremendous and very flexible tool in FrameVR are the private voice zones. This blue square here in this space represents a private talking zone, and anything that happens inside of this private talking zone will only be able to be heard by the people that are inside of that space. And you can see that it is marked by green, indicating that I am inside of this space. So if I was having a conversation, then I would be able to be in a large group, and the people that are outside of that space would not be able to hear me. So this would be akin to a breakout room in Zoom. However, there's another excellent feature that allows you to embed certain objects within the private talking zone, and you can see here it is not visible to me until I get into that talking zone. So in this example, if I was going to set up a stations model where students are going to work on a particular action in this space, then I could give them specific instructions for that, and then when they move to the other spaces, they would receive different instructions with different activities and resources available to them. There's lots more that you can do with private docking zones that I'm going to do some further videos later in this month. So with all my experience in educational technology and working with teachers, I know it is absolutely imperative when you want to start and bring in a new tool or a new workflow, that you have to make sure to keep in mind that the teachers will want to be able to use and leverage all of the material that they've been using previously. And that's one of the things that Frame does exceptionally well. So this is an experience around the USS Maine bombing in Havana Harbor. And it's taken from a hyperdoc that I found online that somebody had created. And these materials would have been linked within the hyperdoc. So when I click here within Frame, I get to read this New York journal that is in Google Docs, but notice that I can continue in the frame, read that for as much as I need to, and then I can pivot over here and consume the other article, and then come here, and the instructions on the hyperdoc were to watch this video, so I can do that here. And notice how, again, I don't have to leave the video or leave the frame to consume the media. And lastly, this is not necessarily a third-party app, but it is nice to be able to embed live web pages here within Frame. And so the students, again, would be able to consume this media all within the Frame experience. So each of the items that I've talked about so far are available with the free level of Frame. The next items I'm going to talk about are only going to be available at the basic level of Frame and above. So you can check their website. I'll show some information on the screen here about what it would cost to gain access to some of these tools. But one of the newest tools is the ability to incorporate Google Street View 360-degree photos inside your frame. So if I go here to plus, go to Street View, search for Chinatown in London, zoom in a little bit here, drag the bonhomme, say create. So this creates a 360 sphere that, depending on what the settings are for your frame, so if I go here to frame settings and go to environment and performance, right now it says show environment when the sphere is open and show all the assets. So when I click on it here, it would create kind of a background, but that's not what we really want. What I want to be is immersed in the Chinatown scene. So if I go back to frame settings, turn off those two things, close that out. And now when I click in here, myself and all of the other members in the frame are going to be immersed in Chinatown, and we have the ability to leverage the Google Street View, and myself and anybody that is in this frame will be walking down the street in London. There is a ton of possibilities here regarding cultural comparisons, foreign language description of directions, or what do you see, etc., etc. So I will be doing more deeper dives into the Google Street View in future videos. So another possibility that you have when you have a paid version of Frame is that by default, the basic avatar that people have is called the Android, and really the only thing that you can do here is to change the color. They do have a simple avatar builder built into Frame where you can choose a human avatar here, and you can change different things like the clothes and the hair color, and trying to get it as close to your avatar as possible. I'm not really sure why this little miniature avatar is floating around here, and with the paid version, you have the ability to incorporate a third-party app called Ready Player Me. And as you can see there, it is much more personalized and lots more possibilities to get an avatar that matches your look and who you are and fits your style. One of the last added benefits that I'll talk about with a paid version of Frame is the ability to create AI-generated 360 spheres that you can use to set the tone and the style of your environment. So as you can see here, this particular space has kind of a futuristic and very colorful, pastel-colored 360 sphere that I have turned on. And if I turn that off and switch over to this space version that I have of Nebula, you can see that it gives it a much different style and a much different feeling in the 360 space. And both of those spheres were generated using a third-party app called Blockade Labs Skybox. And Blockade Labs Skybox, if I go down here to the plus and click on AI Assets, I can click on Skybox, put in my prompt to describe the 360-degree photo that I'm looking for to fit my needs and what the style is, and then that is generated for you, and it can be included here as part of your 360 photo. There are other ways to accomplish the same thing, which I will describe in future videos as well. So I'll finish up this video by talking about the various levels here in Frame. As you can see over on the left, there is a free version. You get 3 frames that can hold up to 8 users at once, plus you get all of the tools that are listed here at the bottom. In order to incorporate the AI skybox that I just showed you, as well as the Google Street View, it will cost $10 a month, or for education, they actually have, if you scroll up to the top here, they do have a 50% off for education users. And also I will put a link on the screen and also in the description of this video where you can get 20% off if you're not in education. So with the basic frame, as you can see, you get those added advantages, but you can still only have spaces that hold up to 8 users. If you're someone that wants to get a class of 25 or 30 into their space, you are going to have to require the plus level, which again is $50 a month. So at this price, you will get 5 total frames, and one of those frames will be able to hold 50 users at once. So hopefully you can see that there are many, many advantages to FrameVR when it comes to creating spaces in education. Throughout the rest of this month, I'm going to expand on some of those items that I talked about briefly in this video. And also beyond the 30 days, I will be creating more training resources to help educators leverage this awesome tool. And I would love to see the spaces that you build and see the immersive learning possibilities that you open up for your students.